Okay, the homework assignment is to do front and back of graphing linear inequalities. So I'm going to go through some of these problems, but not all of them. I'll go over number one. Make sure you use your notebook on this to make sure that you know what we're doing with this sign, what the sign means, so on and so forth. But one thing I do want you to do for all of these problems is identify the y-intercept and the slope for each inequality. Now the slope here for this inequality is -3, and my y-intercept, remember always write your y-intercept as a coordinate, is 0, 4. Alright, now based on the inequality sign, this is going to be a solid line because it is greater than or equal to, that's what the line underneath means, also equal to. So this is going to be a solid line. And based on the sign, this is greater than, the greater than sign, y is greater than, I will shade above the line. So let's go ahead and graph this line. We're starting at 0, 4. And from here we're going to go down 3, right 1. Down 3 and right 1. This is our slope. I know this is going to be a solid line. Now I'm going to shade above this line, and if you get confused to which side is above and which side is below, above would be going up. See how the arrow on the y-axis is pointing up here? That is above the line. So this will be the side that I shade. Okay, also what I want you to do in extension to this task is always write a coordinate that is a solution to the problem. So you could pick any coordinate that's on the line here because it's also equal to, or any spot in the shaded area. I'm going to pick the y-intercept because I know that that is on the line. So it is a solution to the inequality. Alright, so I'm going to jump down to number 4. Number 4, this is going to be a horizontal line. As you can see, there is no slope because there is no x and there is no coefficient in front of the x. So that means x has disappeared, which means the coefficient you could call is 0. The slope is 0. I do have a y-intercept, and the y-intercept is -4. Okay. So my slope is 0. My y-intercept is -4. This is going to be a dotted line because my symbol here is only greater than, not equal to, or dashed line, whichever way you like to call it. So I'm going to make a horizontal dashed line going through my y-intercept. Now, based on the symbol, the inequality symbol, y is greater than. The greater than symbol means I will shade above the line, the direction of the arrow going up. Alright, now we need to pick a solution. Always pick an easy one. The easiest solution here is going to be the origin, 0, 0. 0, 0 is in the shaded area. So 0, 0 is a solution. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and skip forward to the next couple problems, so I need to pull up the next screen. At any point in time, you can fast forward through the video, or you can take it back a step to see what was going on. Alright, here I'm going to go over number 6. Let's talk about the slope. Slope is the coefficient in front of x. Here my rate of change, my slope is 7/4. Rise of 7, run of 4. So let's write that out. M equals 7/4. My y-intercept is always located here, the constant added on the end, and we're always going to write it as a coordinate, 0, 2. Based on the inequality sign, this is greater than or equal to, so this is going to be a solid line, and I'm going to shade above based on that symbol. Again, use your notes. You're going to have to start to memorize what the greater than, less than, all of those symbols mean. So start at positive 2. From here, I'm going to go up 7, right 4. So as we start to count, we'll notice that we go off the page. Well, if I'm going up 7, right 4, I know I can go the opposite direction to continue that same line. So if I count down 7 and left 4 and put a dot here, I'll get that same line. Now I'm going to have a solid line. So based on this symbol, I need to shade above this line. So I always recommend using the arrow on the graph. This arrow is going above the line, this arrow is going below the line. We're going to shade up here. Now we need to pick a coordinate located in the solution area, which is the shaded region. So let's go with 0, 5. Again, you can pick any coordinate in the shaded area. Doesn't matter. Alright, so we're going to skip ahead to the next one. Alright, I'm going to go over number 7. Also a constant here. Let me pull up the correct pen. Now, this is x is less than or equal to negative 5. Now there is no y in this equation, so I won't have a y-intercept. I will have an x-intercept. My x-intercept is negative 5. The slope here is undefined. And my x-intercept is negative 5, 0. So I'm going to put a dot at negative 5. My slope is undefined, which tells me that this is going to be a vertical line that is also going to be dashed based on the inequality symbol. Okay, so now this is a little different. We can't shade above or below this line because it's running vertical. This goes back to the inequalities when we dealt with the number line. So x has to be less than negative 5. Negative 5 is represented by this line. On a horizontal number line here, the greater numbers run this direction, positive. The lesser numbers run this direction, negative. So I need a number, x, that is less than negative 5, which means my solutions will lie in this direction, numbers that are less than negative 5. So this will be the direction that I shade. We need to pick a coordinate that is a solution that is in the negative direction. I'm going to go with this one. Don't have to pick that one, I'm just picking that one, which is negative 6, 2. Not negative 2, just 2. Negative 6, negative 2 also works though. Alright, next one. I'm going to go with number 10. Now this one is not in slope-intercept form, so we will have to solve for y. So there's 2 simple steps. Same steps every time. It's just like solving for equations that we do in the morning every morning. Okay, so I need to subtract 5x on both sides. This is an inverse operation, and I'm trying to isolate the variable y. Okay, 5x minus 5x is 0, and I'm left with the inequality, negative 3y less than or equal to negative 5x minus 15. Okay, my next step, inverse operation, is to divide by negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. So I get y all by itself. Now, I divided by a negative number. See that we divided by a negative number. When we do this, we must flip the inequality sign, pointing the other direction. And I have negative 5 over negative 3. A negative over a negative becomes a positive. So I get 5/3. Negative 15 divided by negative 3 becomes a positive number, and that is 5. Alright, so there was an additional 2 steps to doing this equation before we could graph it. Now, to graph this, we need our slope. my slope is 5/3. We need our y-intercept, which is 0, 5. We need to talk about the inequality sign going on here. Or sorry, this one. We're ignoring this problem now. This inequality sign, this is going to be a solid line because it's got the equal, also equal to on the bottom. And it's a greater than sign, which means I'm going to shade above. Okay, so let's graph the y-intercept, 0, 5, located here. My slope is 5/3, so that means I'm going to go up 5, right 3. As you can see, we go off the graph. So if I'm going to go up and right to continue that same slope, I would go down 5 and left 3 to this point here. It's going to be a solid line. And I'm going to shade above. So again, in the direction of the positive y arrow. We need to pick a coordinate that is in the solution area. I'm going to go with this one right here. And that is -3, 3. Okay, I'm going to go on to do one of the last problems. Also, when you get over here to number 9, if you're doing number 9, you will have to flip the inequality sign because you are going to divide by a -2. Let's move on to one of the last ones. Okay. I've gone over doing this one before, so you can watch the video on that one. I'm going to go over number 12. Now we have to solve for y again. So I'm going to subtract x on both sides from the equation minus x to isolate the y. When I do that, I'll get -x. First, I'll get -y is greater than -x plus 2. I cannot have a -y. I got to divide by a -1 to everything. Property of equality. -y divided by -1 is just a positive y. We divided by a negative, so I must flip the inequality sign. -x divided by -1 is just a positive x. 2 divided by -1 is -2. Alright, so our slope here is 1. My y-intercept is 0, -2. Also, I'm going to have a dashed line based on the inequality sign. As you can see, the inequality sign is now a less than, which means I will shade below the dashed line. So let's start by graphing this. I start at -2. I'm going to go up 1, right 1, continuing my slope. And I will make my dashed line. And I'm going to shade below this dashed line, which means I'm going to shade in the direction of the arrow going down. Okay, we also need to pick a solution. So a solution we will find in the shaded area. I'm going to go with this one here. Again, there are infinite answers, but you could just pick one. So this coordinate here is 5, -1. Okay, you do need to complete the rest of these problems and turn them in tomorrow.